Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 5060 in Red Dead Redemption 2. This one is the Gigabyte WindForce 2X version of the card. I'm running it with the latest Nvidia drivers at the time of recording this video, and I am not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Up's GPU-Z, and over on the left, I'm pairing it with a Ryzen 7 9800X 3D and 32 gigabytes of RAM. Let's get into it, shall we? Also, yes, the CPU is overkill for this GPU, but you'll get the same results with a Ryzen 5 7600, for example. Let's go over the settings now. I'm starting at 1080p resolution using Benchmark King's optimized settings for the best visuals to performance ratio. So feel free to slow down the video if you want to take a look at all of the settings, but this really looks very similar to the maximum settings while giving you a major boost in performance compared to the maximum settings, and I'll leave his video down below in the description as well. Now, we're getting 120 FPS here at the beginning. That's quite good, but notice that the game looks very soft, right? That's because we're using DLAA, my friends. And previously, this was the only way to play the game. Well, you could disable it or set it to medium, increase the sharpness, lower the sharpness, but it was always a really soft-looking title at 1080p resolution, no matter what you did. But these days, fortunately, we have the Nvidia app over here, and we can override DLSS to the latest version. You'll need to do this with the game closed, by the way. I have already done that, but down here, you can see DLSS override model preset. You want to use the latest one right there, super resolution latest, and DLSS override super resolution mode, set it to DLAA if you're at 1080p resolution, because this will make a massive difference. Actually, I'm gonna do a little bit of a side-by-side here, just looking in this direction. So this is DLAA, we're getting 120 FPS, okay, and it's looking super soft. And right now, I'm gonna select DLSS Ultra Quality here in the graphics settings. This wasn't available previously before we applied DLAA into the game, or used the override feature. Here we go, Ultra Quality is now enabled. We lost quite a few FPS, 15 frames per second, as you can see, 105, but everything is much sharper. Just look at the side-by-side right now, right? It's a massive difference, basically. And yeah, you do lose performance, but I think it's totally worth it here at 1080p resolution, because it's still at around 100 FPS. That's perfectly smooth and doable and playable, obviously, for a single-player title like Red Dead Redemption 2, and it is now looking fantastic. Even in motion, it doesn't fall apart completely like it did with DLAA, because when you're standing still, DLAA looks the sharpest. Yes, that DLAA look was the sharpness on the side-by-side. Anyway, let's keep on going here. We got Roach. Very nice indeed. And if you have a 1080p monitor with this GPU, these are definitely the settings that I'd go for with DLAA here. It can't really get much better than this, really. Maybe if you utilize like the resolution scaling option at 1.25x, it would increase the sharpness a little bit further, but I feel like this is already pretty close to being perfect here. So I really like the addition of DLAA here. I don't know why Rockstar doesn't patch this game to utilize the latest DLSS version, DLSS 4, and the latest FSR version as well, and XeSS and so on. And I don't know why they don't include DLAA at default, because if you try to use DLSS without making the DLAA override, the ultra quality option is not going to be available, and therefore you'll need to utilize quality DLSS, which at 1080p, it's not going to look as good as this, obviously. It's going to render the game at 720p and upscale to 1080p. But yeah, this is the way, guys. It's buttery smooth of an experience. The 8 gigabytes of VRAM are enough for Red Dead Redemption 2. This is an older title, after all. The textures don't even look all that impressive, so obviously a 5060 8 gigabyte GPU won't have a problem with it. And the GPU itself is quite decent. You know, like the performance of the 5060 isn't bad. It's a 20% improvement over the 4060, and a lot of people are happy with the 4060's performance. The main issue of this GPU is that VRAM, which, again, in Red Dead Redemption 2 is not a problem at all, even at 4K resolution. Oh, wait, no, we don't want to kill Bob. We want to make Bob sing. Bob, just stand there, please. Thank you very much. All right, come over here. Sing for us. Sing! It's always beautiful, isn't it? So soothing and calming. Yeah, if this GPU had 12 gigabytes of VRAM, it would have been a recommendation at its price point, but unfortunately, it has 8 gigabytes, and that is a problem in other titles. Alright, as I showed in its full review, you can check that out in the description as well, by checking the playlist of the GPU, and then check out the most viewed video, I guess, which is always the review. Anyway, let's keep on going. 90-ish FPS here in this town. This is Strawberry, and it's pretty intensive actually, but it's still not dropping from like, what, 90 FPS, maybe 95 FPS is the minimum, or 94, whatever. Yeah, it's always going to be buttery smooth, even in Saint Denis, for example, which a lot of people think is the most intensive area because, well, it's a huge town. That's less intensive than this one here, because this has vegetation around it, it has the river coming through it as well, and the water physics in this game are very intensive, and we are utilizing water physics. Even though these are optimized settings, the water physics are still set to the medium setting there, middle of the slider basically. So yeah, it's performing pretty well. So no problems here at 1080p resolution. Yeah, 101 FPS average, 86 1% lows. Just remember to utilize that DLAA because it makes a huge difference. But let's turn it off, go back to TAA now, and bump it up, not the song, to 1440p resolution. Alright? So we're at 2560 by 1440, exactly the same settings, back to TAA as well, which again is soft, and I wouldn't utilize it, but at 1440p it's a little bit more passable. However, you can still see there are quite a lot of imperfections here with TAA. It's still soft. Yeah, it's just a bad look, especially in motion, but it's getting really good FPS. 80-ish frames per second here at 1440p. That's pretty impressive. I was expecting this GPU to be a bit slower here in Red Dead Redemption 2 at 1440p, not gonna lie. Seems like if VRAM isn't a problem, it could still be a pretty decent 1440p GPU. But hey, they gimped it with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, so yeah. So we're back to ultra quality DLSS or DLAA once again with that override, and instead of getting those 80 frames per second, we're down into the low 70s. So that's a massive difference there, but it's still above 60 frames per second. It still looks phenomenal, this game, at these settings in 1440p DLAA, and it's clean and sharp, and man, if you have a 1440p monitor, you should definitely play like this. Maybe even with DLSS quality, since there isn't that huge of a difference in this particular title compared to DLAA, but DLAA still obviously has the edge when it comes to clarity and sharpness, and since it is above 60 FPS pretty much at all times, we're going to see it here in Strawberry in just a second, but I think it shouldn't drop from 60 FPS there. And if it doesn't drop from 60 FPS there's a big chance that it won't drop anywhere else in the map. So that's quite nice to see, and quite comforting as well, right? Maybe Saint Denis at night, because nighttime there is pretty intensive for some reason, drops a couple more frames than it does over here, but you know, I'm not gonna wait until nighttime. It's also uglier during nighttime, so yeah, and even if it drops like 5 frames per second, it won't drop from 60 FPS there. However, it can stutter a little bit, but that's just a game problem in Saint Denis at night. Once again, it happens sometimes. Over here, it doesn't smooth. But yeah, as you saw there, even going into Strawberry, doesn't drop our frames. This looks phenomenal. 60 plus FPS. Again, it looks very similar to the maximum settings in the game, since these are optimized for the best visuals to performance ratio, and you can enjoy the game all day long like this. Again, if I had a 1440p monitor paired with a 5060, which isn't that great of an idea, you should at least save. Oh my gosh, Roach, come on, buddy, please. You're okay, boy. You're okay. All right, there we go. It isn't a good idea. You should probably save a little bit more and buy the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte GPU for 1440p gaming, because it's going to be a bit faster. It's going to have a lot more VRAM for the recent titles. Yeah, that matters a lot, of course. But yeah, over here in older games, 5060 can still play them just fine. So if your main game is Red Dead Redemption 2 and you're playing at 1440p with this GPU, there's no problem. You know, basically there are no bad cards. They are just underwhelming one sometimes, like this, because of its VRAM again. And there are only bad prices. If this was 200 bucks with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, nobody would bat an eye on the VRAM side of things, I think. It would be pretty adequate pricing for it. But at 300, again, should have had 12 gigabytes or at least 10 gigabytes. But I'm beating a dead horse over here. Thankfully, it's not Roach. I just saw a news article saying that this has been selling a lot. Like, the 50 series in general has been selling a lot. And even though a lot of them are underwhelming, well, people seem to be liking them. Yeah, I mean, whatever I do here, I can't make it drop from 60 FPS, guys, at 1440p DLAA. So, just set it to these settings, do the override thingy, and enjoy this game. Let's stop it there for 1440p. We've found the perfect settings already, and let's bump it up to 4K resolution. Okay, here we have it, 3840 by 2160, optimized settings, DLAA, guys. Actually, we should try it first with TAA, since at this resolution, I mean, TAA is still sharp. It's still softer than DLAA is. You can definitely tell the difference, but maybe the trade-off in performance isn't that worth taking at this resolution. And here, at native, this is native, 4K. On a 5060, is looking beautiful, and it's getting 50-ish FPS. So it's still playable, it won't stutter, VRAM is under control, it's allocating 6.3 gigabytes there, so no problems whatsoever. If you're playing with a controller, for example, I don't think you're gonna feel a big slowdown in terms of performance coming from 60 plus down into the 50s. And look at that, sometimes you can even reach 60 FPS. It's really good. This is native 4K resolution. See, the raw power of the card isn't that bad. 58 FPS average there. Oh boy, Roach. It's okay, boy. It's okay. It's okay. I want to go down there, but not through here. Yeah, water looks amazing in this game. Everything looks amazing in this game. Aside from the textures, I think the textures should be improved. Like, Rockstar needs to patch a few things. You know, my God! Holy crap! It even bugged the graphics for a second there. Or maybe it was just this pink filter or whatever. Yeah, probably that. Come on, Roach! Come over here, boy! Get over here! I'm fishing Roach at the moment. Oh man, I never thought I would fish a horse. Buddy, please! I think he's struggling, actually. No! Oh, come on, buddy. I'm trying to get to you. Okay, no, we'll need to just drop it, guys, and load the previous save game, because this ain't gonna happen, unfortunately. But hey, we're here. We've been inside of the water with the water physics enabled again. It works. It doesn't drop from 60. Well, it did drop from 60 right now, from 50. Yeah, 49 frames per second sometimes. Yeah, I mean, being below 60 FPS is not a big issue whatsoever. So you can definitely enjoy this game with these FPS still. But let's try it now with DLAA, my friends. Okay? DLAA drops us down into the 40s. Consistently into the 40s, basically. And it will probably drop into the 30s as well, so this is definitely not a smooth experience anymore, in my opinion. It just drops way too far to where it becomes unpleasant, in my opinion. Okay, it's a little bit choppy gameplay-wise, still feels responsive and it's playable, obviously, but this is not what I would do, because at 4K resolution, DLSS 4 looks really good, even on performance DLSS. So for that, I'll need to disable the override that I did for DLAA. Go back here into the Nvidia app, graphics, program settings, Red Dead Redemption 2, and we're gonna go ahead and disable this one. All right, so apply that. And the only one that we're overriding is this. This is very important still because this gives us DLSS 4, the super resolution transformer model and stuff, and it looks way better than the previous one that is used in Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay, here we go, guys. We're at 4K resolution now, utilizing quality DLSS. It's still DLSS 4, and it looks fantastic right now. It's basically the same look as DLAA, and we are above 60 frames per second here. It's really really close to getting down into the 60s, like low 60s and so on. It might actually drop down in just a little bit, guys, unfortunately. I think in Strawberry it will dip down into the 50s, so maybe balanced DLSS is going to be a little bit more adequate, or performance DLSS as well. But damn, it's looking very smooth, and I feel like if you are running this... Oh, there's Jack. We get to see Jack here. Hello, Jack, buddy. How's it going? Oh, boy. Okay. Roach. Oh, my God. Okay, run away, Roach, run away. Woo! Oh, boy. Jack, come on. You got food over there. Stop targeting me. Oh, man. Oh, that was crazy. Did it drop from 60, though? I don't know. I don't think so. 58 FPS, 1% lows, but it was probably just one-off. Maybe. Yeah, I don't feel like it did drop. Anyway, if you want to connect this to a TV, for example, and play with the controller, this is going to be a perfect experience. It's phenomenal. This is 4K visuals. No doubt about it. If you connect this to a 4K TV, it's gonna look native resolution. It will likely drop in some extreme circumstances, alright? And Bob wasn't there for some reason. I don't know why he wasn't there. I didn't even mention that. But yeah, in some circumstances, it will likely drop from 60 frames per second, since it drops to 61 sometimes, 62. But so far, only the 1% lows are less than 60 FPS. In the gaming experience, it didn't drop from like 61. So that's pretty impressive for the visuals that it's getting and achieving at the moment. I mean, damn. And I guess we shall try it with like performance DLSS. So here we go, performance DLSS. Almost 69 here. So close. But inside of the game itself, it's up into the 70s now. You don't gain too many FPS, maybe like 10 frames per second. Yeah, I think you gain like 10 frames per second by going from DLSS quality to DLSS performance, which is pretty underwhelming of a gain. In some other titles, the difference is much bigger, but it still looks insanely good. And now you got that little bit of extra headroom for it to drop, if it needs to drop, you know, in more intensive scenarios and so on. So it shouldn't drop from 60 FPS anywhere like this. It's basically getting the same results in terms of performance as 1440p native resolution with DLAA, yet this is looking way better than that. I feel like this is probably the best visual fidelity and the best way to enjoy Red Dead Redemption 2, and you should enjoy Red Dead Redemption 2 with the best way possible, okay? Because, again, it's a masterpiece of a title. But yeah, I'll leave it right there for this one. Thanks so much for watching this video. Again, use optimized settings in this game, because on ultra settings, you would drop from 60 FPS even at 1080p resolution on maximum settings, okay? It gets really, really demanding. But yeah, this is definitely the way to go with the 5060 if you have this card. And even if you want to do a bit of 4K, it is possible with 4K visuals. The only complaint that I have here in terms of visual fidelity now is that in motion, especially when there are trees behind Arthur, you can see a little bit of a trail there on Arthur's hair, and it's fuzzy. So if you're paying attention to that, it doesn't really look that amazing, but it's only there. Thanks very much for watching. Catch you in the next one very soon. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, love you all. Bye-bye.